Welcome back, Fishless fam, to another episode from the Fishless Fisherman. On today's episode, I will be telling you the story of how I became known as the Fishless Fisherman. Before I get into that, let me take a moment to ask if you would please subscribe, like, and click that notification button so you are made aware of each time I drop a new video. If you would like to correspond with me or would like to request a free Fishless Fisherman sticker, please email me at thefishlessfisherman@gmail.com. All right, everyone, let's hop in the Wayback Machine and take a journey back to where it all started. Growing up, I was very much the hyperactive, athletic child. I loved sports more than anything and had to be on the go all the time. Fishing was one of those activities that I quite frankly despised because it was so boring to me. I can remember a few times while vacationing where my mom would take us kids out fishing and I felt like pulling my hair out because of the boredom I was experiencing. One instance I can remember is the first time we took a trip up to the mountains and stayed at a family friend's house. There was a lake there, and from what I can remember, it was loaded with fish. I remember seeing them swim around at the dock and watching my mom pulling in one fish after another. Me, on the other hand, couldn't have caught a fish that day if you handed me a net. I was terrible at fishing and just didn't have the patience. Now, let's fast forward 30 years, and still never in my life had I caught a darn fish. I can remember a time when my wife and I and our oldest son, who was around 4 years old at the time, I decided I was going to stand with my son out at the river and use his grandfather's pole to try and catch a trout. I proceeded to place a kernel of corn on the hook and handed my son the rod, and if you can believe it, his very first cast produced a rainbow trout. He was so excited. We rushed over to his mom and grandfather to show off his very first catch. Now, don't get me wrong. While I was super excited for him, I was in disbelief that this little 4-year-old had caught a fish before I even sniffed a tug on the other end of a fishing line. Once he caught this fish, he started to show an interest in the sport, and my mom began taking him on the weekends to local rivers and lakes to spend some good old-fashioned quality time together. Meanwhile, there I was, still fishless you could say. As I mentioned in my last video, please check the link in the description if you haven't already seen it. My mom passed away when I was 37 years old, and I felt the best therapy for me and my son at the time was to continue on with their tradition and continue to sit on the banks fishing, reminiscing about better times. This is where the nickname came to be. My son and I would go fishing every weekend, it seemed, and every spare moment we had, and cast after cast would produce nothing. I knew absolutely nothing about fishing and was relying on a 10-year-old to show me how to tie knots, asking him what bait to use and how to make proper casts. I was completely lost, but also fully committed to wanting to catch my first fish. I began studying fishing techniques, different hooks, knots, poles, everything and anything I could get my hands on so I could catch that elusive fish. YouTube became my best friend in the evenings. I learned how to tie knots, what type of rods I should use, how to fix my line when it would become tangled in spin reels. I was slowly becoming educated, but still had not caught a fish. I would go out, fish, come home empty-handed, and then repeat. It got to a point where my oldest would see me as I walked in the door and say, "Well, Dad, did you catch anything?" "Nope," I would respond, "not a thing, but I did have fun practicing." He would then proceed to say, "Well, Dad, you truly are the fishless fisherman." And from that day, it just kind of stuck. I promised myself that I wasn't going to give up and that I was going to show my sons that I was not a quitter and show them that if you persevere, work hard, and practice, that you will be rewarded for your hard work. Then that one magical day in 2022, Father's Day, if you can believe it, my oldest and I set out to the river with hopes and dreams of landing my first ever trout. And after about 2 hours of sitting on the bank and making numerous casts into the frigid water, I felt a huge tug on the end of my line and saw that glorious trout emerge high out of the water with my crankbait hanging from his mouth. I had finally done it. 37 years in the making, on Father's Day, with my firstborn son, and I finally reeled in my very first catch. From that day on, I was hooked. and found a new passion in my life. When I decided to start my channel, I decided to call it The Fishless Fisherman. Yes, with an MEN, because my hopes are that my channel will include my two boys as we go through this journey together as time passes on. Even though I am farthest thing from being fishless any longer, I like the nickname because it is a constant reminder of how I got to this point in my fishing journey. If you stuck with me this long into the video, I greatly appreciate it, and I hope you will subscribe and join me on future fishing adventures. As always, thank you for watching, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Take care. Hey guys, not skunked today.
Whoa.
Got a nice little bluegill here. Garrison, say what's up?
What's up?
Say how cold is it?
My hands feel like they're about to come off.
Yeah.